Hi, thanks for stopping back. There's been a bit of progress. So when I left the last video, I got Roy running, but it wasn't running very well. An evening of sitting with Google and actually some very useful YouTube videos from across the pond, where they use this particular carburettor quite a lot on their big V8s. Actually helped me set it up a bit, and then I remembered something from when I'd had one of these when I was when I was 18, and there was a piece missing, and it was in the boot. It's a fuel pressure regulator. I'll show you in a second, and it wasn't fitted, and so the carburettor was receiving full fuel pressure from the pump. So I've refitted that, and that seems to have improved things, because it's obviously the carb is now not being ludicrously overfueled. The new fuel pump that's on it, it doesn't look very old at all. Unfortunately, when it was put on badly, and they over tightened it, and it's warped its mating surface with the engine. I've tried to straighten it out as much as I can, but it is leaking oil at the moment. So we've got an oil leak, but we are pumping fuel. So it does need a new fuel pump, but fortunately that's a very, very widely used pump. It's not unique to these vehicles. It's used on lots of Opals, so it is still available, which is quite helpful, and it doesn't actually cost £1 million. So with that, and then with some tuning, going back to basics tuning, I've actually got it running to an extent that you can put it into gear without it stalling. Okay. It's an old car, it's not going to start first time. So we can start, we can go into gear, the idle speed drops, but it does sit there, it's not dying, so it is movable, which is quite important, as the garage that I'm in is very small. So I do need to be able to pull it in and out. Let me show you under the bonnet what I've done and how we've got to where we are. This is the aftermarket carburettor. I've dropped an inline fuel filter into it just as a precaution. This here was what was sitting in the boot and wasn't connected, and it is some kind of fuel pressure regulator, because the supply from the pump comes in here. This is the return line back to the tank, and then this line here goes to the carburettor. Now on the original carburettor, which I've still got in the boot, there was only one fuel supply. This carburettor has also got a return line on it. So at the moment I've got this carburettor going, this return line going into a fuel can. So I need a T-piece just to join that back into the fuel line, into the return line there, to make it return to the tank, and that should solve fuel pressure. The other thing that I've done as a precaution at the moment is just to disconnect the brake servo, because I wasn't convinced the brake servo was working, but actually having felt it now with it not working, I'm more convinced it is working. But I've just taken it out, blocked it off there just to make sure we haven't got a vacuum leak, and now I've got it running nicely. I can reintroduce it and see if it is upset by the reintroduction of the brake servo. I've tightened the fan belts up a bit because they were quite loose, and the other thing that I think is wrong, by the way it's hunting, is I think its ignition timing is out. So I've got a timing light coming, and we'll put a timing light on it and get its ignition timing running right. But at the moment, the fact that it starts and moves in and out of the garage is a major win, and it allows things to progress. What I'm going to do today now is actually have a go at fitting the window regulator and see what I've got in the boot for that, because if I can actually get that window to not be hanging around inside the door but actually be properly mounted, and also get the door card back on, that is significantly safer from a storage point of view, if nothing else, because it's less likely to get broken if it's correctly fitted. Same with the door card, so I wouldn't like to be able to try and get that glass again. So this is something that I think probably is worth doing now, and also just taking an opportunity while I'm here just to squirt some wax oil into the bottom of the door, because the bottom of the door is starting to rust. They always rust from the inside out, and putting some wax oil in there will actually assist in keeping the moisture out of the door. So in the boot is this box, and this box has apparently got a window regulator in it, which has come from GM6 spares. GM6 and Derek in particular down at GM6 is something of a guru when it comes to these cars, and no doubt he and I are going to get very well financially acquainted, as he is a very major source of high quality spare parts. So Derek, if you're watching this video, reach out to me. You and I are going to, well, I'm going to buy you a new house basically by buying spares for this car. So let's get the box open and see what's in it. Okay, so we have a window regulator in the box. If you were expecting an unboxing video, sorry, no. However, I think I'm going to need to get some more bits, because there's more than just the window regulator missing. I found 2 bolts in the boot, but actually I can see 4 that hold this on, because it looks like it secures there, there, there and there, which would be that hole, and those 2. The window slides in the top here, but there will be a bottom rail, and the bottom rail used to be there, but it isn't, and it's not in there, and I can't find it, so I'm not sure how successful this is going to be. Also, there's no power to the wires, but that's ongoing electrical gremlins. Could well be a blown fuse, or the relay's out or something like that, but no doubt I can move that regulator just by putting 12 volts on it to move it up and down. But I still think putting it in the car is probably the best thing for it. That rail can always be added later. So I'll crack on with that and then come back. Let's just see if we can get this regulator in. These washers are slightly too big, but they'll do for now. That feels like it's pulling home. Let's put a washer on there. Again, these are far too big, these washers, but this is going to have to be revisited anyway, so a washer surely must be better than no washer. And all I'm trying to do at the moment is just keep things together and make sure they don't get damaged. So found a couple of extra bolts in the back of my van that work for that. We've got one down here as well which is missing. That's better. I've just put that in finger tight just to hold that side rail in, and that is at least now holding that window. If that bottom rail was there, that window would be in, but I can't find it at the moment. Hey ho. So I've given it a hoover out in there and just given it a really good blasting of cavity wax. As we know, you cannot stop a car rusting, but you can put as many barriers in the way to slow it down. I'll also give that another going over when I come back here to refit that that rail. 3 times I looked in the boot, and on the 4th time, there it is. That's that missing rail. That's exactly what we needed. So I'll just go and find some more washers and we can put this together properly. So there we are, door card all back on. So window doesn't go up and down, but can't have everything. Electrical gremlins. Nothing electric seems to work very well. It's almost like there's quite a lot of fuses that aren't in there. Right, let's put her away. To be continued.